in this video, I'm going to talk about the dangers of the atheistic beliefs. Dr. D. James Kennedy actually did a book. It's called What If Jesus Had Never Been Born? And this is a very interesting book. It's fascinating. All his sources, of course, they're all sourced in here. Any atheist can look this up and find out everything I'm about to say.
Okay, first of all, who are you? And second of all, immediately, when the first thing out of your mouth, whenever I'm asking you to prove something or show evidence of something, you say, go read a mountain of books, that immediately discredits you. If you can't even verbalize what it is you believe without someone reading a mountain full of books, basically someone else is telling you what you believe. You're just copying off of somebody else. And then you can't even articulate what it is that belief is. Immediately, your opinion carries no weight whatsoever. It's a very Jordan Peterson thing to do. You make a claim, and you're like, oh, why is it you believe this? You're like, oh, well, go read all these books. No, just tell me what it is you believe and why.
That is actually true, but it's a frightening book because it actually paints a picture of what the world was like before Jesus was born. And it was really a scary place. When you read this book, you get a better understanding of why God destroyed everything with a flood. Because back then it was even worse than what Dr. D. James Kennedy records in this book.
So I'm a little confused already off the bat. The title of this video is Historical Dangers of the Atheist Worldview or something shit like that, right? Then you're talking about how things were before Jesus, but atheist and theist has to do with a God. It's not a Jesus, it's atheist. So you're like, oh, what it was like before Jesus was horrible, but what about God? We're talking about God here. You're calling out the atheist worldview, which, by the way, what the fuck is an atheist belief? You know, what's the worldview of an atheist? The only thing that connects atheists are the lack of belief in gods. That's it. It's not like once you're an atheist, you automatically agree on every other topic. You know, there's atheists who believe in abortion, you know, pro-choice and pro-life. I hate those terms because everybody on the planet is both pro-choice and pro-life. Everybody believes in, you know, life, and everybody believes in choice. So those, in my opinion, is a misnomer. I absolutely hate it being called. Just call it what it is. It's pro-abortion or against abortion, you know? So your argument's already starting off on a flawed basis. Then you go on talking about how things were before Jesus. Well, Jesus isn't the issue at hand. It's God. And according to your book and what you're saying right now, there was a God before Jesus. So we don't believe in him either. I'm kind of confused on your point here already. And then you're talking about the flood, but Jesus was well after the flood. What about the time in between the flood and Jesus? Like, you know, God wiped out everybody because he said he fucked up, which is amazing because an all-knowing God wouldn't fuck up, but somehow he fucked up. Reset. A family of 8 populated the entire globe, enough people to build the Tower of Babel 150 years later. Rabbits don't fuck that much. And then Jesus. So what about the time period in between the flood and Jesus? But anyways, your argument is already, excuse the expression, crucified, because there is no atheist worldview. You know what I mean? You're like, oh, the dangers of the atheist worldview. What?
But the atheistic thought pattern is something that's pretty frightening to me.
Oh, sorry, the atheistic thought pattern. No, I have a feeling you're going to get on other topics, like I was mentioning earlier about the abortion and all that stuff. But the problem is has nothing to do with atheism at all. None.
Because according to Dr. D. James Kennedy, he can easily document just in the last 100 years alone, since 1919, the modern age when it began was around 1919. Last 100 years alone, there's been about 130 million people murdered by people who accepted these atheistic belief patterns, and that's pretty frightening to me as a Christian.
Oh, I see what this video is. Atheists murder people. Sir, I assure you, you do not want to get into a numbers game when it comes to body count. The point that I and a lot of other atheists make is the fact that you follow a doctrine where the doctrine promotes that kind of thing. No one kills in the name of atheism. It's not like, oh, murder all these people in the name of atheism, because that makes no sense. I'm going to kill all these people because I don't believe your claims in a God. I don't believe your claims in a God who tells people to murder people and take children sex slaves. It just makes no sense. Again, going back to Bigfoot, that's like saying, oh, I'm going to go around killing people because I don't believe in Bigfoot. Do you understand how retarded that sounds?
Now, of course, there are a lot of nice and moral atheists in the world, and there are a lot of atheists that are very nice and very moral in the United States, but primarily when you find that, it's because they are borrowing from the Christian belief patterns that have already been set up in a country. For instance, America was set up and founded based on biblical principles. Christianity was the religion of the day, still is the religion of the day for this country.
Okay, first of all, you are exceedingly wrong by that. I don't know what it is in America. People think that this country was founded on Christianity and shit. Many of the founding fathers were completely against religion and theism in general. You know, lighthouses are more useful than churches, shit like that. Okay, many quotes by the founding fathers about how religion was useful. Second of all, they were getting away from a country that was run by religious zealots murdering motherfuckers left and right, okay? That's why they set up a system of government with freedom from religion in it. Or freedom of religion, however you want to word it. It's more freedom from religion. The separation of church and state. They didn't want to create another government that was run with religious ideologies and put that on its people, subjected its people to that, and then became an abomination, basically. So that's why they put that in place. Second of all, if you go around, you know, looking at like the buildings and the architecture and stuff like that, you'll see it's a multi-deistic. It's like they were huge fans of like Rome and Greece, you know, the multi deities, multiple gods. There is a picture at the top of the dome in the Capitol building where fucking George Washington is depicted as Zeus. Most people don't know that. But yeah, you go up, you look up, there's George Washington sitting in a fucking cloud like Zeus. So don't come at me with this country was based on Christianity and shit. It most certainly was not. If anything, it was based on a multi-deistic. They were much more prone to follow that. The architecture is very reminiscent of, you know, Rome and shit like that. So, and I'm pretty sure any Christian would say it's blasphemous to dress yourself up, you know, have yourself painted as a god. You know, especially a god like Zeus. So, yeah, you can take that, just go fuck off somewhere. I don't understand why people say that. That's exactly what the fuck they were escaping. They wouldn't create the exact same thing. Open a fucking history book.
And the Ten Commandments are the moral code that actually is the standard that set the basis for all the laws that are written in America. Even today, as far away from God as we become, moral codes, the laws are basically based off of the Ten Commandments. Thou shalt not kill, that kind of a thing.
Well, folks, Mama's wrong again.
Most certainly not. There are plenty of countries and you know, tribes and whatnot, communities, whatever the fuck you want to call it, that do not base theirs off of the Ten Commandments. First of all, you're missing like 600 of them, but we'll focus on the 10. First 3 are all about your God being jealous. So what laws do we have on the books about that? First 3 are basically non-existent. They're not laws, okay? So you're down to 7 commandments. Multiple cultures have had thou shalt not kill, murder laws, because it's kind of bad for a society if you go around murdering each other. The same for stealing, you know, coveting thy neighbor's wife, shit like that. It's kind of bad you go around porking each other's wives, because that kind of leads to the whole murder thing. So it is in no way due to your 10 commandments. In fact, to have a moral system set up behind those commandments would be a flawed system altogether. That civilization would fall so fucking quick. Where's the commandment about rape? Where's the commandment about pedophilia? Where's the command about torture? You know, genocide. Shit like that. No. Most of your commandments are thought crimes. 3 of them are about a jealous God. It got a couple right. You shouldn't kill your neighbor. Well, no shit. You can't survive as a community, as a culture, if you're fucking murdering each other left and right. It's common fucking sense. Baboon troops know not to fucking kill each other. That's why they're a fucking troop. That's why they're not lone animals. They fucking understand if you want to live within a community of others, you can't fucking kill all the other people. all the other baboons, all the other fucking gibbons and fucking monkeys and shit. Any, meerkats. They understand if you go around killing each other, there's no community. It's just you by yourself. So that's absolutely fucking ridiculous. I love how you Christians are always going after the 10 Commandments. You don't even realize that you're missing several hundred. Why aren't you quoting that shit? Why aren't you staying away from, judges when you're on your period, ladies? Shit like that. So, no, that's absolute horseshit. This country is most definitely not founded on Christianity, and it certainly is not, its laws are not, governed by the 10 Commandments. Go fuck yourself.
But an atheistic belief pattern, the reason why it's so scary is because it allows a man to set what the standard of morals are. And when you allow man to set what the standards of morals are, you really have a loosey-goosey standard.
I don't believe so in the least, because that's what we have. Even your 10 Commandments, sorry, man wrote the Bible. Man came up with those rules. It's a made-up story. But I know you're not going to agree to that. So we'll go this route. Your book is a horrible guide for morals. I would much rather have standards set by man than by your God. Anybody on this planet, I would say, is more moral than your God. If you walk down the street and you ask anybody, for instance, I know everybody goes to this, and it's kind of cliche at this point, the whole slavery thing. Do you believe it's okay to own another person? Most are going to say no. I can't think of a single time. I mean, maybe in an extreme, circumstance, you might come across one dickhead who's like, yeah, absolutely. But most of humanity will say absolutely fucking not. Or at least most of America will say absolutely not. Slavery's still a thing in other countries. Most people in America would say absolutely fucking not. Yet it's promoted and condoned by your God. That right there, you're already more moral than your God. Most people would say it's absolutely abhorrent to take small young girls as your sex slaves. Also abhorrent, also condoned and commanded by your God. So the laws of man are already morally superior to your God, so why should we follow the rules of your God? We're already better off without him. And whether you acknowledge it or not, we're already living by laws of man, not of God. Of course, I'm speaking as if God exists just for the benefit of argument. We're going to speak as if your God is in existence, and, the book is his word, infallible, his word. It's easier for argument's sake. So, fuck him. He's a moral piece of shit, and we already live by our own standards.
The other thing is, an atheist, he says God doesn't exist. He's trying to devalue God, and when you devalue God, you actually devalue human life. So you have to ask yourself, how could someone like Hitler kill 6 million Jews?
Go ahead and stop you there. First of all, I believe atheists, from the ones I've met, at least me, speak for myself, I think human life is incredibly valuable. It's one of the most valuable. It's probably the most valuable thing we know of. Simply because this is all you have. There is no after. You have to do your best to be a good person and leave a lasting impression for future generations, because there is no heaven after this. This is all you get. So atheists, the ones I've met and talked to, which is many, growing more and more every day, they all seem to have the same belief and, structure, I guess, that you better damn sure be the best person you can be and make the most of it while you're here, because life is short and there is no after. Whereas Christians is like, oh, I can do the most important thing you can think of, but it's okay because, I said some magic words and I'm forgiven and I'm going to go on and live another life. So fuck this life. This life is just the test. This isn't even the important part to Christians. So maybe that is why in this country prisons are stocked full, absolutely full of Christians. You would think if they're living such a moral life by God and they're such better people and more moral people, prisons would be chocked full of atheists. But every single study shows the exact opposite of that. We're talking like 1% or less atheists. So fuck that mindset. It has absolutely no weight whatsoever. You have no statistics to back it up. You have no evidence whatsoever to show that Christianity is a better life choice or more moral system than atheism or the lack of belief in God. The moment you have that, by all means, bring that shit to the table. Also, I heard you say Hitler. Trust me, you do not want to go the Hitler route. For some reason, Christians love to throw out the whole Hitler thing, but trust me, you don't want to go that route. I'm going to let it slide this time just because you fuckers say that all the time. It's well known to be horseshit. I'm sure you're going to talk about, Stalin and Mao and all them. Yeah, Stalin was an atheist. You got me on that one. But you do not want to play the Hitler card, and you damn sure do not want to play a numbers game.
How could communism kill and torture over 100 million people? Well, to answer that, the answer you give this question, what is a human being, determines exactly what it is that you can do to a human being. Now, since the beginning of communism, human life has been very cheap. 10 million people were killed to bring about collectivism in the Soviet Union. And if your moral standard, for instance, is to help an old lady cross the street or to run her over, that standard is determined by who's in charge if you're an atheist.
No, that standard is set forth by the civilization you live in. You run over that old lady, you're going to prison, fucker. And I can't think of many people. As an atheist, I help ladies all the time. At my job, lady buys a case full of water. Little old lady buys a case full of water. You want some help with that to your car? It's obviously heavy. I wouldn't run the lady over. This is so ludicrous. What, you couldn't come up with a better metaphor than helping an old lady cross the street versus running an old lady over. How many fucking people have you met that were like, "Oh, I'd run that lady over. Fuck that bitch." It's mind-boggling that you can have this thought process. Second of all, let's go back a little ways. We're talking about communism. Yes, Stalin was an atheist, but all those murders were having to do with political gains. Very, very little of it had to do with atheism. I'm not going to say none of it. I can't say that none of it was. I don't speak in absolutes. But that was political gain. He wanted to rule the country. No part of atheism, there's no doctrine of atheism that says go around killing people. You understand that? And you just said it was for political gain and pushing his political agenda. So you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot here, too. I at least had some respect for you to keep consistency in your video if you said Stalin went around killing people because he was an atheist. But no, then you just disproved yourself by saying it was for political gain.
But as a Christian, we have a moral standard that is actually set by God. It is always immoral to run her over. It is always a moral thing to help her across the street and help her doing whatever she's doing. But in Hitler's Germany, Hitler was somebody who admired atheism, and he certainly...
Okay, I'm going to let you finish your thing about Hitler, but going back to the old lady thing, there's a story in your Bible where a man offered up his 2 daughters to an angry rapist mob of people so they wouldn't rape angels. So what the fuck are you talking about that it is always wrong to do this and this and this? As an atheist, I believe rape is always wrong, but your God and people following God gave up his own fucking daughters to a rapist mob so they wouldn't rape angels. They wanted to rape angels. The fuck are you talking about?
Loved evolution. But in Hitler's Germany, you could easily run an old lady over if she's crossing the street if she was Jewish because he set the standard. And this is a really frightening thing.
Yes. Okay. Motherfucker. Okay, Hitler was raised in the Catholic Church. Okay? Hitler was quoted many times as saying he was doing God's work. He got to the point where he hated Catholicism and the moral guidelines of Catholicism, but he 100% believed in the Christian God. Hitler had belt buckles that said "God with us" on Nazi belt buckles. He believed he was doing God's chosen work, okay? Here is a few quotes by Hitler. "Hence today I believe that I am acting in accordance with the will of the Almighty Creator. By defending myself against the Jew, I am fighting for the work of the Lord." That was in Mein Kampf. Hitler's autobiography. Wrote that shit himself. "For this is to be sure, from the child's primer down to the last newspaper, every theater and every movie house, every advertising pillar and every billboard must be pressed into the service of this great mission. Until the timorous prayer of our present parlor patriots, 'Lord, make us free,' is transformed in the brain of the smallest boy into the burning plea. Almighty God, bless our arms when the time comes, and be just as thou hast always been. Judge now whether we are deserving of freedom. Lord, bless our battle." Hitler 100% believed in the Christian God. He thought he was doing the Lord's work. God's work. So I'm tired of theists coming at us, especially Christians coming up and saying Hitler was an atheist. Hitler was by no means an atheist. Okay? What he did was absolutely deplorable, and he thought he was doing it in the name of the Bible and in your God. He was raised Catholic. Yes, he decided he hated the Catholic Church, but he still believed he was doing God's work. That's like, maybe he was a fucking Baptist. See, that's the problem. Y'all have so many different sects. Just because he denounced Catholicism, that doesn't mean you get to say he was an atheist, because he still believed in your God. Still believed he was doing your God's work. Motherfucker. 5 seconds of fucking research, man.
Something that I think atheists really should consider when they act so proud about considering themselves intellectual because they're trying to live their lives without God.
Oh, they 100% should be proud of, living their life as an intellectual. Let's say Hitler was an atheist and he went out around saying, I 100% did this for atheism. Yeah, he would be denounced. That would be horrible shit that he did, right? And yeah, one-on-one, pick a Christian, went around mass murdering fuckheads. Yeah, shouldn't have done that. But the problem comes when your book, your doctrine commands it, and you got multiple people, thousands, millions of people doing evil shit throughout history in the name of your book. I promise you, you do not want to play a numbers game. You've named 3 people, one of which wasn't even an atheist. Atheism has no dogma that commands this wicked shit. You do. That is the fucking problem. And then you hide behind that shit under the veil, the very thin veil of holy. Oh, well, I'm not a wicked person. God commanded this. Fuck the gays. But you know what? That's not coming from me. God said that. No, bitch, that's you.
So, moral rights and wrongs, if a man sets them, can be pretty frightening because the Bible says a man's heart is evil. So when man sets the standard, disaster is generally the result. Just a basic idea of some true history of people who had strong atheistic beliefs. Joseph Stalin killed about 40 million people. Adolf Hitler killed about 6 million Jews. And he also killed, something a lot of people don't know, but Adolf Hitler also killed, in addition to 6 million Jews, an additional 9 to 10 million people. A couple million of those were gypsies, and then the bulk of the rest of those were actually Christians.
Wrong, 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 wrong. Wrong, 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 wrong. You're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong.
Look, another bald-faced lie. Yes, Hitler did kill gypsies, right along with Jews. But there was also direct orders. If you disobeyed a commandment of God, if you went against Christianity, you were to be executed. So, anybody who would have killed those Christians, those millions of Christians, they'd have been fucking executed. That is a bald-faced lie. Once again, open a history book. So right now, you've got 40 million with Stalin. And even that is a grasp. But you know what? Just for the sake of numbers, I will give you 40 million. This really shouldn't go into a fucking battle of numbers, but since that's what you obviously want to happen, fine. Let's have a battle of numbers. You're at 40 million. I'll even be gracious, just for the sake of argument. Even though I've completely called you out on that nonsense, I will give you half of Hitler. So we're at 43 million.
But Mao Zedong, he killed over 70 million people. Altogether, that's around 125 million.
Okay, we're at 113 million people. 113 million. That's because I'm being fucking gracious. Okay? Oh, God, this dude's gonna piss me off. 113. I can't believe we're having to break this down as a numbers game. But I'm gonna prove my point with this. I warned you did not want to play this as a numbers game.
And then if you add in all the other communistic regimes that had a atheistic belief pattern, it's easily 130 million people or more just since 1919.
Fuck it, we'll give you 130 million. That's your top number? Motherfucker, there's been like wars waged in religion that top that in one fucking war.
Who have been murdered because people consider themselves intellectual.
No, they were murdered, in the case of Stalin and Mao Zedong, for political advancement. They wanted to rule shit. There is no atheistic dogma. Period. All atheism is you say, I believe there's a God. Not only that, I believe there's a God that commands you to go around fucking killing, raping, murdering, pillaging, plundering, and stealing shit. And I just simply say, I don't fucking believe you. There is no dogma behind that. Your dogma commands people to do wicked shit and kill people. Multiple millions of people have been killed in the name of your God. Not one of these people that you are talking about, not one person in history has ever gone around killing millions of people in the name of atheism. Not one. So, you want to play a fucking numbers game? Fine. Let's play a fucking numbers game. Let's break this shit down mathematically. The German Peasants' War, a series of peasants' revolts, during the height of the Protestant Reformation, spurred on by the mix of economy and religious causes. 100,000 deaths for Christianity. Christianity claims 100,000. Moro insurgency, Islamic rebellion in the Philippines, have a long, bloody history of resistance against colonial and Philippine governments alike. 120,000 deaths for Islam. Crusades to root out, the Northern Crusades. Crusades to root out the Baltic pagans. Couldn't find any good casualty estimates, but 150,000 deaths for Christianity seems reasonable. Algerian Civil War. Most Islamist rebels. 200,000 deaths for Islam. Lord's Resistance Army. Christian militants in Central Africa. Remember Coney, 2012? 200,000 deaths for Christianity. Another crusade. France leads crusades to root out Cathar heretics. Sorry, butchered that shit. Out of Languedoc, I can't pronounce that one either. Estimates vary wildly from 7,000 to 1 million, but let's just say 200,000 deaths for Christianity to keep it on the safe side. The Great Turkish War, a holy league, quote unquote, of Christian states rolls back the Ottoman Empire's conquest in Eastern Europe. 300,000 deaths for Christianity. Afghan civil wars, a variety of Islamists, including Al-Qaeda, for control of Afghanistan, 400,000 deaths for Islam. The Islamic Caliphate conquered away from being a desert blackwater to the world's most powerful state in an incredibly short period of time. I can't find anything resembling and estimated for the casualties involved, but we're going to completely bullshit this one. 500,000 deaths for Islam. Trust me, it won't affect the winner. Ottoman conquest. What is it? Mehmed, M-E-H-M-E-D, the second, leads the Ottomans on a merry path of conquest over Eastern Europe. 800,000 deaths for Islam. The Crusades. All of Christendom spends a few centuries banging its head against a Holy Land-shaped wall. 1 million deaths for Christianity. So far, Christianity's crusading habit is definitely a big source of casualties, but those pesky Muslim militants have pushed Islam to the lead. The score is neck and neck at 1.95 million deaths for Christianity and 2.12 million deaths for Islam. But three wars that most people have never heard of completely blow this competition out of the water. You ready for this shit? French War of Religion. The French Protestant and Catholics spent 36 years massacring each other. Silly. 3 million deaths for Christianity in that one war. The 30 Years' War. Protestant and Catholic princes duke it out for control of the Holy Roman Empire under what's now modern Germany. War is waged between the mercenary companies that loot the countryside to support themselves. 1/3 of Germany dies. 10 million deaths for Christianity. So that's 15 million deaths for Christianity and a mere 2 million for Islam. But in the year of our Lord 1850, a new challenger blows them out of the water. The Taiping Rebellion. Hong Xiuquan was born into a poor family in southern China. In 1873, he fails the Imperial Civil Service examinations. His only hope of getting ahead in life? He has a nervous breakdown. Long story short, he reads some pamphlets from Portuguese missionaries, gets some freaky visions, decides he's Jesus' younger brother, rounds up some followers, known at the time as God worshippers, and launches a rebellion against the Qing dynasty. There it results in the deaths of 20 million people. It's entirely possible that Christianity has made up the 5 million death gap with smaller wars and general low-intensity persecution over time. But without many good statistics on that, I'm going to say the most bloody rebellion of all time is the God worshippers, a rebellion that existed for less than 30 years. There's a small editor's note at the bottom of this. It says, Mir Lipnik points out a glaring oversight. Timur used Islam to justify his conquest, adding 17 million to the Islamic score. I'm sure there are plenty other wars that I've missed. I will link down below the website to this article, okay? This is just a few wars. Religion, theism, I told you did not want to play a numbers game on this. I know you were coming at me from a sign of Christianity, but the moment you say atheism, that immediately puts atheism versus theism. It's natural opposite. So that means you have to include all of theism. Even if you were just going to do Christianity on a numbers game, you are vastly superior at killing people than any atheist ever thought about being. Because most atheists, you go to Twitter. Challenge for you, go to Twitter, find an atheist. I will bet you 9 times out of 10 they have humanist in their bio. We believe in preserving life and living it to the fullest because this is the one shot we have. So don't you dare commit me with this bullshit of multiple millions of people have been killed in the name of atheism, because it's simply not true. Whereas we can show ironclad evidence that millions have died at the hands of the theists in the name of their God. The only reason they did the killings was for their God and their religion. Not political gains or anything like that. I'm not saying it never happened, but a vast majority of wars are fought for gods.
Because man set that standard, because the people who did the murdering, Stalin and Hitler and Mao, all had atheistic belief patterns where they could actually set the standard. You see, this couldn't happen with a Christian.
This couldn't happen by a Christian. I think we've all seen now where exactly that standard lies with your God. And you're right. Christians 100% try to exemplify that standard.
Because God has already set the standard, we are required by our beliefs and by the Bible to follow the 10 Commandments. So anyway, just some thoughts. I hope you please really consider this. Thank you.
So that's all that's left of this video, guys. I'm sorry if a lot of it didn't make sense. It was really just shooting off the hip. Kind of got a little upset in the middle of it. I absolutely hate it when people just 100% lie. It was just lies. Lies upon lies upon lies. And I'm not even sure if this guy's doing it on purpose, like he knows the truth, or he's just so stupid that he's never researched before he comes on here and spreads these lies. I find it hard to believe that no one knows this shit. At this point, 2018, it's got to be lying on purpose. And there's nothing worse than that. That makes your religion look so fucking bad than if you just fess up to the shit and be like, yeah, that was a fuck up. We need to do better. But no, don't take any responsibility for, whatsoever. It's fucking amazing how you can still follow this fucking filth that has caused so many deaths throughout history, directly responsible to religion. Anyways, thank you so much for watching this video, guys. If you want to get one of our badass new fucking shirts, by the way, I'm super proud of our shirts. Do have merch available. There is a link, right down below on the banner. Click that link. It'll take you to the merch shop. Get yourself a badass shirt. I think there's only like a week left in them. So get it while you can. Special thanks to all my patrons. I had one huge supporter that just came on this past week. Absolutely fucking amazing. You will never know how much I appreciate it. If you want to become a patron, be sure to click the link down below. Go watch this original video. Make sure that I didn't edit it in any way and change his words around and shit like that. Also, I got a P.O. box. I promise y'all, if we hit $50 on Patreon, then I would get a P.O. box. I did get a P.O. box. I will leave the address to the P.O. box down below. Y'all feel free to send me, letters or anything. If you prefer, I'll read it. You know what? If you send me something, if you send me a letter or anything like that, let me know in the letter attached with it if you're okay with me opening/reading it on camera, or if you'd much rather me just kind of do it off camera and write you back. So response on camera, or if I can, I'll try to send stuff back to y'all, write letters back to y'all. Completely up to y'all. So that's it. Thanks so much. See you guys in the next video.